In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you all about the basics with working with text blocks in Squarespace. And if you've been away for a while and you've come back and you're new to the Fluid Engine, you will have noticed it's changed an awful lot, and much for the better as well, especially when working with text layouts. So let's have a scroll through this page that we're going to use as our example, and we're going to port across different structures, like this here where we've got a video block, we've got a text block to the left, and then a 2-column structure below. We've then gone into other blocks with one content block, which has a background behind it. So that's the start. I'm going to promise that we're going to deliver that layout. So let's jump across to our test page we've got in our Pixelhaze Academy site. And let's add a new blank section. And let's put this on a slightly different background color so that we can tell the sections apart. So far, hope you're still with me. Now we're going to go and copy this content. Of course, you could type it yourself or add it via other means, like from ChatGPT. But let's instead copy it from there, add a new text block. So that's the add block in the top left-hand corner. Then we're going to choose text block. And now we're going to drag that text block to roughly the size that we want. I'm going to click in this blue bounding box and then paste our content. Now I'm going to switch back to the other tab and let's bring in the other content while we're at it. So I'm just selecting all of that, copying it. The one thing by copying from another Squarespace page is it's more likely to keep the style. So the right headings, whether it's bold, italic, etc. If you paste in from elsewhere, you may have to work on paragraph spacing or choose different heading styles to get it to what you want. But now I've pasted that block in. You can see I'm just duplicating the block as opposed to going up and adding a new block. It doesn't really matter too much which way you choose. So I'm going to press duplicate and we're going to drag this block across into roughly the right position. Now I'm going to double click inside this block and Command A, which selects all. And I just remembered I haven't copied this content yet. So I'm going to copy this. Now with all of that selected, I should just be able to press Command V, I'm on a Mac, to paste. If you're on a PC, Control V will do the same. Okay, so far so good. What we can see though, if we run our professional design over it, we can see the margins here are a little bit tight. One option would be to make one of these smaller than the other, but that's not very balanced and there is a better way of spacing the content, which I'll come on to in just a moment. I'm not going to worry about putting the video in, but what we've got to do here is put a text block that's going to go above the video. So back here, and just to do something different, I'll just add a text block from the menu. Then we're going to move and widen that text block so we've got plenty of space there to work with, and we're going to paste it in. This time I may decide to align the text in the bottom of the container, and this is an option that we've got with any of these text blocks. We can see the alignment option, so if it's already quite close to the bounding box, that's going to be okay. And for these three, or for these actually in particular, it's good to have them the same because we can have that invisible line that matches the top of each of those content blocks. But if we're going to move this one down, maybe to center, so it's got some breathing space above the video block, but it's not too far away from it that it looks unsightly. Now we're going to add a block, and this time we're going to search for video, and we can see it here, and we're adding in that video block into that section. A lot of this is pretty intuitive. We're clicking on the corners. We can see these little squares in the bounding box, and that will allow us to resize it. Because that video is sticking to a 16:9 ratio, that's why it's not increasing the height or width independently. Okay, so that video is now in place. Let's compare this to the other design, and we can see much wider gaps and a better balance for the content. So let's look at the options for tidying this up. First thing I'm going to do is go into Edit Section, and we can see the gap option here. So with that gap option, I'm going to increase the gap considerably, something to about 40. That creates some even spacing left and right. And what we might do is just reduce the width of this content block meaning that we can now bring these content blocks down. So I've got two choices. I could either have these bullet points aligning evenly to the top, or I can bring this text block down and have them aligned. But we have quite a bit of white space here that I'd rather not have, if I'm being honest. So one option is there's a bit of an overlap there, so we could put this to go back to the top. And now that saves us a little bit of space, so we can bring these up one block. We've still got a little bit of spacing here. So what we could do is hold Shift and Enter to bring it after the colon down one sentence. I don't think that's actually changed much. We can bring that in, but I'm quite happy with that as a layout. The alternative would be to duplicate this block here. So we can see the duplicate option in the menu. You don't have to create a text block from scratch, but I'm going to delete everything after the heading. And you're probably guessing where I'm going with this. We're going to treat that as an independent section. And so we can bring the bullet point back in once we've got rid of the spacing. And we can see that we need a bullet point on this side as well. In fact, I'm going to check if this is an error on the other design. No, it's not. It's since we copied and pasted it across. Now we have these blocks. If we put them to align to the top, just check that they're both aligned to the top. They are. These are perfectly aligned. This block here now aligned to the top, we can switch it. So we can try it aligned to the bottom, check if that's too compact or too cramped. Therefore, we can go maybe to the middle, and we've got a bit more space there. So this headline's aligned with the top of the video. We've got a bit more space here, but that brings the text down a little bit. Then we've got the headline feeding into the two bullet points. So there we go, an advanced layout with multiple columns. Once we're happy with it, we can press on this heart icon, which would save it as a favorite section. What would happen then is we can go into saved sections and reuse that design layout, meaning that you don't have to do it time and time again. But here's another really important time-saving tip. And if you forget everything else I've covered in this tutorial, remember this one bit. We need to check this on mobile before we save it as favorite. So I'm just bringing this down. We can see straight away that this text block's got loads of extra padding. I don't know why, but Squarespace love to add this in, and it's a little bit frustrating. With mobile view, we're going to go with the text block, the top. Then we're going to bring in the video below. And in this format, it might be worth having the subtitles to go with the video below it. And we can adjust it independently now. So this is one of the good things that's been added to Fluid Engine, is that we can style the mobile view of the page much better. It does add a little bit of time, if I'm being honest. But the fact that we can choose these block alignments, for example, to be different depending on whether it's on mobile or desktop, I think is a really cool feature. So what I'm doing now is just getting rid of the extra padding there. And we're going to bring this section up at the bottom. I'm going to check we haven't missed anything. And okay, so the one thing we've got here is the spacing between these bullet points isn't as wide as this one here. This is a bit of a trade-off when we're working with these systems. So I could try and overlap it and align it to the bottom and see if that does anything different. Not really. It makes it too compact now or too close to it. So I think we have to go with this option, even though the spacing's a little bit wider. It's the closest we can get. Hope that makes sense. It's because these text blocks are split into two columns on desktop. We don't have pixel perfect control over the spacing between the bullet points on mobile. But I think in this case, it's a worthy sacrifice to get most of what we want in the layout. I could always put some custom code in to just nudge that up on mobile view if I wanted to be pedantic about the spacing. But I think it flows quite well. I think that looks nice on mobile. Then we switch back to desktop and we can see it hasn't changed one bit. So we can now design on desktop and mobile independently. At this stage now, we can go in, save our section as favorites, knowing that we've tested it on both desktop and mobile view. We could, of course, grab the side of the browser and drag it in to make it more compact and see if that works as well. But for now, I'm just happy with that, and we'll call it a day in this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. In fact, this content's from a page which is specifically for Squarespace designers. It includes our Power Pack, which is SquareForge, our rapid template builder for Squarespace, all of our online courses by yours truly, access to our coaching community where you can jump into up to 5 video calls on Zoom with myself and my team every single week, and we will help with whatever headaches you may have, whether that's to get your Squarespace website to the top of Google, or you're looking to use ChatGPT to create content that doesn't sound like ChatGPT, or even using Canva to create graphics that make your websites pop. Pretty much any headache that you have that's legal and something that we can help you with, that's exactly what our community is for. And this Power Pack is designed to give you everything you need to launch your career as a web designer, or to give it a new lease of life, a new boost. Head over to Pixelhaze Academy if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I'll be back with more tutorials just like this one in the near future. Cheers.